So thanks, Greg, for taking a bit of time out post the Power Up Performance program to have a quick chat with me. Um, I'm just interested to know what was when you first came across the program, what was the challenge or problem that you were potentially trying to solve?
Yeah, interesting. I think for me at this time, there's a whole load of transition and transformation going on in life, both professionally and personally. Some of that from the personal side comes with kids arriving at a certain age where they're about to go and embark on their own careers and go off and do other training and moving away. Um, in the professional side of things, it's looking at so with things like that happening, what do I want to spend the next 10 years doing? So partly it's looking at using some of the early phrases when we first had a conversation about the idea of you shouldn't. It's not. I'm not doing this job because I ought to be doing this job.
Hmm.
I really want to, and I should be doing this job. And I
Yeah.
think that had a huge amount of resonance with me in the area I'm in right now. So trying to really get some clarity and get some definition around what does the next 10 years for me hold,
Yeah.
and how do I really hone in
Hmm.
on and understand, I suppose, my own strengths, and my own I suppose emotions around work that I want to really bring to the fore and engage in over the next number of years.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And when you were thinking about investing, because it's not just about investing money, is it? It's about investing time.
Yeah.
When you were thinking about investing that sort of time, did you have any sort of doubts, concerns, skepticism about the program?
Always, yes. Right.
Your
No,
natural.
I think um, I thought about this, and I think we sort of mentioned briefly maybe before, but I think the really one of the really cool things I think for me with this is the timing was very much right, and also it was also investing in me. So if I go back to why I was doing this, it's the first step in that road that actually says, "Sod it, I'm going to spend some time and money on myself in doing this." And also it was self-determined, and the investment was for me. It wasn't on behalf of somebody else. So I was very much allowed to, or I allowed myself to take that time, to use that time, and also to interact with both the people and the content very
Mm,
much along my own timelines and my own agenda,
mm,
rather than thinking I need to do that on behalf of somebody else. Um, so for me, I think the way it was broken up, the amount of time commitment that was required, but also the time I was at, made perfect sense in looking at
mm.
this and coming on board.
And what were some of the sort of learnings or thoughts and ahas you had as you went through the various different natural powers?
Um, I think for me, a lot of it is the skill side of things again. So I think it's one of those. We all pick up a lot of stuff over our life, and then we drop it all and forget about it all.
Right.
Um, Coming back to it again, and very clearly in that time of transformation, in a time where there isn't the clarity you necessarily would want to have. Sort of going back to basics and just looking at goal setting as a starting point of view. The other piece was looking at using a journal, which I've never done before. So, the setting out of goals and timelines for achieving some of those, the starting of actually taking lessons learnt, and teachings that can be applied, and using a journal to capture a lot of those along the way. So the learning some certain exercises and how you then bring them to other exercises, but also just in the everyday life, then stuff that looking for learnings during the day
Mm.
that you can then utilize another way. So I think for me, it's a definite switch in how I approach a lot of things, but also going back to some basics around having clearly defined goals.
Yeah. So on that, what would you say that what tangible differences have you noticed or benefits or results have you achieved in your time invested?
Um, so I'm
Mhm.
becoming far more selfish. I think I think part of it is or one of the
It's
best things.
underrated, let me tell you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, it is, and funny enough, it's the I was talking to my 19-year-old who's about to go to university, and just trying to say to him that having a 3-year period of time, or a 2-year period of time, or whatever, for me, having a a 6 or 7 week period of time to actually invest in yourself is an absolute privilege. And
Yeah.
so for me, the main thing was actually stopping and thinking. This gave me a framework
Mm.
to actually stop, and some tools to start doing some planning and some thinking about what I really wanted to do, to get to at least to a point where I acknowledge this is a reality, and this is where I definitely want to go moving forward. I'm still, when I say definitely want to go, I've come up with a series, I think, of wants or needs, either in a role or in doing something myself, which I need to clearly be able to satisfy to get what I want out of the next stage in my life. And again, I think one of the other things was looking at trying to do your own elevator pitch, so sort
Mm.
of personal statements and elevator pitches. And again, just taking a moment to number one, think again. So what have I got? What have I achieved? And what do I think I'm about as a person? But more to the point, what do people want to know about me? What do people, so that idea again of perception, so ensuring that in that first couple of minutes, you're guiding, hopefully, that perception in the way
Yeah.
you want it to be, so you can then have those follow-up conversations there. But again, very much having clarity really quickly in a succinct format that you're able to articulate and then build on if you want to.
Fantastic. That sounds great. And I know that was your big driver behind doing this. You weren't, like some of the other people on the program had an event. There was a big event,
Yeah,
whereas you didn't necessarily have an event, but you knew that you were in that place of transition. And we talked about that sort of cycle of change.
yeah,
You're in that sort of cocooning stage where you're transitioning perhaps from one area of your life to another,
yeah,
but you're not quite sure what it was. So that was the goal, was to try and help you get clarity around that. Greg,
absolutely.
who would you recommend this program to? Who do you think it might appeal to?
Um, well, I think again, you sort of look at yourself first off, and you think this is good for me. It's worked for me. I think meeting everyone else who was on the or going through the journey with me, I think that was one of the best bits. So, I mean, there was such a mix of people from different parts in the world, from different backgrounds, from different disciplines. Everything from somebody who came from a very formal background in the consulting world, to somebody who's going off doing sort of prison chaplaincy, and everything
Yes,
in between. I mean, you couldn't have a much more
I know.
greater diversity of group. So
Mm.
so in terms of and what I'm trying to say from that, I suppose, is I know all those people got benefit from being part of the course and going through that.
Mm.
So I think, from my point of view, if you are in a stage of transformation, whether that's looking for a new role or a new business, whether that's personal or professional, if you're looking to try and get some guidelines and get some time and get clarity of mind to make those steps,
Mm.
that's in its broader sense who should be attracted to this. I think it's somebody who's definitely got an open mindset to be able to to take up on new ideas, to embrace new ideas, and to try them out. And again, I think one of the big things for me going through this was that idea of the safe environment. So I think which was really interesting in the new world we're in, and doing this again, we're doing this online. The relationships and the rapport that grew up very quickly through the group of people we had meant, I think, when we broke off into smaller groups and sharing groups, it wasn't a group of strangers anymore. Very
Mm.
quickly, it was a group of people who were going through the same journey,
Mm.
very, very supportive, equally learning to give good, solid, critical feedback if needed.
Mm.
But everyone who came together, I think we're working towards a common goal, and we're all looking to support each other. So I think there's a pretty huge. So
Mm.
it probably doesn't answer your question that well, but there's a very big audience, I think, out
Yeah.
there who could
Yeah.
benefit from this.
Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And I know a number of people wanting to continue the journey, which we're going to be speaking about some later point, which is
Sure.
fantastic. Excellent. Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate that. Thanks for your help.
No worries. Always a pleasure, Martin. Thank you.
All right.